her. We're interested in bringing her to the light and the compassion of Christ and the church, and that's what we need to say very clearly. We're not interested in prosecuting women. We're interested in prosecuting the abortionists. Because if you think about it, when abortion is illegal again, if someone goes to have that abortion, that child is already dead. You can't raise the child from the dead by prosecuting the mother. But the abortionist who killed that child is going to go on to kill hundreds or thousands more unless he or she is stopped. And we won't get the cooperation of that woman to find out who that abortionist was that broke the law if she thinks she's going to be prosecuted for coming forward. So the best strategy, legally, the best strategy from the point of view of ending abortion, is to say, no, we're not interested in prosecuting that mother. It doesn't mean that the child is any less human or any less deserving of protection. It means the person we want to stop and put behind bars is the abortionist. They belong behind bars. And the sooner we get to the day where we can put them there, the better off we will all be.
Well, we hope our viewers contact us with more questions. And also, if they have an idea they'd like to see on these programs, by all means, give us your suggestions, because we're here to serve you, the people of life.
And friends, as always, we want to be in touch with you through our Priests for Life ministry. Later this month, of course, we'll see many of you in Washington, D.C. for the March for Life, and on the West Coast for the Walk for Life. Janet and I will be at both of those events. But meanwhile, let's keep in contact throughout the year through our priestsforlife.org website. And also, I'd like you to receive my bi-weekly email. Just email me at subscribe@priestsforlife.org to receive commentary and action items. Thanks for all you do for the cause for life. Mark, now back to you.
Thanks, Father Frank. I have got two guests coming on here now that I am really excited about. A few weeks ago, I got a call from a lady. You guys know we have a thing called the force form. A lot of girls are around this country are forced to have abortions. Generally, they're underage girls who are forced by a parent, sometimes by one of the most common things we see is the mother of the little angel who got the girl pregnant is forcing the girl to have an abortion.
Right.
And she doesn't even know. You know, she's been taught to respect her elders and respect parents and so forth. So they don't even know they don't have to go through with it. And we had a real tragic case here, right here in Denton a few years ago, where this girl was being told that by her boyfriend's mother that she had to get an abortion. And she said, I don't want to do this. I know it's murder. And she said, but she told me if I don't have this abortion, that she's going to come into the delivery room and take the baby and leave with it. And this is a 14-year-old girl. She didn't know this woman couldn't do this.
We see it time and again at the crisis pregnancy centers. The one that wants the abortion the most is the mother of the boy, of the father.
Absolutely.
She wants her boy off the hook.
Right, absolutely. We see this time, and you work at the CPC, so you know we see this time and time and time again. I'll tell you what was neat in this case in Denton is we were able to get the Denton, we got the girl to file a temporary restraining order against the mom, and she lived in one of the ritzier parts of Denton. The Denton County Sheriff served that owner at home.
All right.
So, anyways, we didn't hear from her again, and the baby was born, and even the boy didn't want her to have an abortion. It's often the mom that's the problem.
And I bet you today that there's a big happy family. That grandmother is so excited that she's got a grandbaby.
The one that she almost killed. Well, anyway, we have this form that we put out that we encourage crisis pregnancy centers and pro-life groups to use, where they inform the local abortion mills that this girl may be coming to them and that she's being coerced or forced into having this abortion, because this creates a real problem for the abortion clinic, because if they do the abortion with that knowledge up front, they're exposed to some very heavy, sometimes even criminal penalties for having done so. So we created this form that we encourage people to send around, and we've used this for years. And I think I've told you this before, Troy. We've never once used this form. I've seen somebody use this form that it didn't work, not once.
Right.
Now, a lot of people won't use it, but you send it to the abortion clinic, then you send it to the local police department and say, we've informed the abortion clinic. You send it to the sheriff's department. If the girl's a minor, you send it to Child Protective Services. You put everybody on notice that this girl is being coerced into having this abortion. And the abortion, at that moment, she becomes radioactive for the abortion clinic. They don't want to have anything to do with her, and they'll send her on down the road. Well, we had a lady named Sarah Stone from actually here in Texas, in San Antonio, one of our favorite places in Texas, because that's where the Alamo is. And
Remember the Alamo.
Remember the Alamo. And she called one day and just to let me know the experience they'd had with the force form, and she's joining us today. Hello, Sarah.
Good morning.
How are you?
I couldn't be better.
Good. Tell us real quickly, what happened when you called me that day? What were you telling us about this story that you had?
Well, this young woman had already been forced to have one abortion in the spring, and by her parents. And her parents were now just finding out that she was pregnant again, and they were telling her that's what was going to happen again. So she fortunately was able to come to our office without her mother. The boyfriend brought her, and we explained to her that that was against the law and that there was this letter that we could send out. And she very much wanted to have this baby, and so did the young man, and so we sent it to the local abortion clinic.
So you fill out the form that we provided.
And she signed it.
And she signed it, because you have to do this at her direction.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. And so you sent it to the abortion clinics. Was she indeed taken to the abortion clinics?
Yes, she was.
And what happened?
Well, when she arrived and they said they had received this letter, they could not perform the abortion. Obviously, her mom was now very upset with us and brought the girl back over to our center. And we had to explain to her why and the legalities of it. And turns out they wanted us to provide a waiver. The girl was telling her mom that she would go along with her mom's wishes, but yet in private still telling us she did not want this abortion.
Right.
So I know the mom was getting some mixed messages, but turns out she went to another abortion clinic later that afternoon. We didn't know this till much later, and got the same response. Sorry, we can't do that. We have this letter.
Well, you use the form the way we subscribe or prescribe people to do it, which is you send it to all the abortion clinics in the area, because we have seen people that literally, when they're turned down at one place, they pick them right up and take them to another one.
Right.
And we always recommend that people send it to all the abortion clinics within about a 200-mile radius. And you say, well, that's a lot of abortion clinics. In most places, it's not. There's not that many abortion clinics clinics within a 200-mile radius. And we had one a few weeks ago, Sarah, that called and said, well, we don't think there's enough time. They're in the car right now. We don't think there's enough time to fax all these things or email them or whatever. And they just got on the phone. And they just read the form called the clinic director and said, listen, you've got this girl coming. She has told us this. You need to be aware of this. And that girl was not able to have an abortion either.
How old was she, Sarah, this girl?
15.
15.
Wow.
Pregnant
So
this is a strong form. But I'm just looking at it. Should you perform abortion with me despite being informed of this fact that I've been forcing? Be subject to criminal prosecution, civil liability, committed to vote, and you list a whole bunch of things down here.
Right. From
aggravated assault right on to child abuse, to fraud, misrepresentation, medical license violation. And I tell you, this is guaranteed no abortion clinic is going to touch this person.
No, she's radioactive at that point.
Yes, because we're talking about money on the line once again.
Well, and this girl, in some states, by the way, one of the things we have on here is sexual assault. In some states, if you read their statute on sexual assault, we dealt with this in, I think it was Nebraska a few years ago, and it caused the abortion clinic to back off because they were going to ignore this up until we started talking about the sexual assault aspect. And if a girl cannot give permission for the abortion because she's saying, I don't want to have the abortion, and you do it anyway, that can be considered an aggravated sexual assault. And at that point, they're saying, no, we're out of this deal. So here's the thing about it. The reason this works, and this, Sarah, you probably had this happen. You may not know it. But probably when this abortion clinic that you sent these clinics that you sent it to, when they got it, they called their attorney and said, listen, we just got this thing. This girl has signed it. It says that she's being coerced or whatever. If we do an abortion on her, are we going to be in any kind of trouble? There's not a lawyer in the world that's going to say, oh, no, you're perfectly safe, go right ahead. Right. Because he knows good and well that if any of these things happen, then he's going to be on the hook for a legal malpractice suit. Mm-hmm. So he's going to have to say to them, probably nothing's going to happen, but I can't tell you that nothing would happen. So, it's probably better off if you just send this on this girl for $300 or $400, $500 you're going to make off the abortion. It isn't worth it to take this kind of risk. Mm-hmm. And that's the reason we developed the form to begin with.
For anybody that's ever done sidewalk counseling or counseled a woman having an abortion, there's nothing more frustrated than to have a woman saying, I want to keep my baby, right. and you want to help her keep her baby, but you're hamstrung from being able to do so. If you've ever counseled a woman out of an abortion, get some of these forms.
Right. Yeah.
Keep them in your possession.
Well, we've got sidewalk counselors now around the country that are using them.
This will save babies. Well,
Right.
It has saved babies,
Right.
and it will continue to save more babies.
And you realize how cheap it is? For cost of,
cents.
cost of a duplicating this thing, you save a baby.
Now, Sarah, how were you able to handle that waiver situation?
Well, she was demanding a waiver to repeal this, and that's when I called Life Dynamics, and there is no such thing.
There is no such thing.
Yeah.
And you're not obligated to provide it either, Sarah.
Exactly. And turns out, to make a very, very long story short, she ended up going to an abortion clinic, and we showed up there with the police, and were able to prevent it again.
Wow, fantastic. Well,
But
Sarah, I want to
Are you
take.
familiar with the Justice Foundation?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Well, they're going to try to get the publicity in the schools, because the problem is these teenagers don't understand that they can't be forced.
Right.
So you're right, they're listening to their parents. So we need to get the word out so that the teenagers understand that they have this option.
Right.
Because they don't drive, lots of times we don't get to see them in our office.
Right.
So they're just letting their parents drive them to the clinic.
Well, Sarah, listen, I appreciate your call and telling us the story, and I really appreciate you actually using the materials that we put out in the way we meant for them to be put out. And now we see what the result is. You saved a baby for the cost of a few phone calls and a single-page document.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for all the work you're doing.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
God bless you.
You bet.
Bye-bye, Sarah.
Bye-bye.
I'm telling you.
This is why the poor boys do not like you.
Well, but let me tell you
Oh,
something.
there's so many reasons.
There's so many. But let me tell you, we keep on, this is a common theme we talk about on the show all the time. Everybody thinks it's very difficult and complicated to save babies. It's not. No. 9 times out of 10, I'm telling you, the women, I've talked to thousands of these women over the years that have had abortions, and 9 times out of 10, they're looking for an excuse not to do it.
Yes.
You know, my old coach used to say, half of winning is just showing up.
Just,
you know, the other
yeah.
side might forfeit, and if
Right.
and if you show up and just offer your support and a shoulder to cry on, you can save a baby.
And see, that's what people like Sarah here did. Just, this is the shot we got to take right here. Let's take it, and look what happened.
You know, this one also needs to be out. My home get a bunch of these from you because we talking about putting these in schools. So when that boyfriend try to push this girl into the situation,
Right. Right. Well, like I said, more often than not, though, it's parents. It's the parents of the girl, or more often than not, the parents of the boy that got the girl pregnant. Usually the mom of the boy, you know, because he's a precious little angel, and he wouldn't be in this situation.
He's got a future.
But,
We're
yeah.
not screwing up
Oh,
his
yeah.
future. Yeah.
Right. And besides, he was lured into this by
It's all
her
the
anyway.
girl's fault.
She was the one that lured him into this.
Yeah,
Right.
she shouldn't have done that.
It's amazing. Now, we've got another young lady coming up here that contacted me one day about something else, and then I decided her story was pretty compelling. We'd like to have her on the show. Juda Myers is going to join us here in a moment. And, you know, one of the common things that we've heard it a million times when you start talking about our opposition to abortion, well, what about the woman that's raped? You know, we hear that on a constant basis. And it's almost like you're inhuman or you're uncompassionate. Or don't care anything about this woman if you won't let her kill her baby. Right. As if killing the baby will unrape the woman somehow. I'm not sure how that all works, but and I've talked to plenty of women who've told me, you know, that yeah, I had an abortion after a rape, and now I regret the abortion more than I regret the rape.
It was much more traumatic.
Much more traumatic, and I'm living with it every night because I took violence that was inflicted upon me and then inflicted it upon the one person that God put on this earth for me to love the most. I inflicted it upon that person, which was my baby. We've got somebody here. I want to welcome to the show Juda Myers. Hello, Juda.
Hi. I'm, just listening to how you're describing that, man, just touches my heart. You get it. Thank you.
No, thank you. You have a rape story to tell of your own. Very quickly, tell us what your situation is.
My mother was raped by 8 men when she was walking home from watching the 10 Commandments back in 1956. And I just found my mother 3 years ago and found out that she'd been praying for 48 years to meet me, that she'd told everybody about me, that she'd wanted to keep me, but her own mother wanted her to have an abortion. And so here I am today, praising God and just so grateful that my mother became a hero instead of just throwing me away like...
So your mother became pregnant after being raped by 8 men?
Yes.
And placed you for adoption?
She did, yes.
Right. Did your parents know that you had been created through rape?
They did not.